Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast. It's Friday. We got 7 games to choose from. That's what the slate says here. So we're going to get right into NBA action. Had a pretty good Thursday night. Hopefully you're following along. Let's jump right into it and not waste any more time because I'm getting this video out to you guys super late. We got 3 out of our 4 picks correct only because Milwaukee couldn't beat Chicago. What a really weird game that was. Milwaukee went to overtime with Chicago at that point, even though they had the lead. Buzzer beater for Caruso. Knew they were going to lose at that point. We press on. The 3 wins were really nice. Great call on the Utah under with Minnesota. OKC did handle LA. Gave that pick to you guys super early. Stayed on it with you and was very happy to ride with that one all the way to the end. So they wiped the floor with the Lakers. Wembanyama came up with the 35 points, rebounds, and assists that we needed because he got 1 rebound in garbage time. Missed the putback, but we just needed 1 more. So he got exactly 35. Our over for Wemby hits, and we press on, giving you the solo record here as I'm flying out on the Land Your Bets podcast. A little bit different from the coast-to-coast stuff as there's more picks on there, and sometimes there's some bonus ones on here. But 3-1 on the day yesterday, like I said, up 1.85 units. So now on these best bets that I'm giving you, where I'm just going for accuracy, y'all. Like this is about making sure we win plus money. 1.85 units on one night of betting in basketball. I will take it. Obviously, they could always do better, can always do more, but I'm not going for pure volume right now. 18-7 plus 8.86 units, only having to bet out 25 times. I like that. I'm going to keep going with that record or that sort of strategy here. So let's move forward into these picks that I like. Not necessarily playing it overly safe, but I do like these picks a lot, and I like to be accurate. So New York at Toronto. We got a 1.5 point spread for Toronto. This is very simple. Toronto did win 3 of 4 last year, and it's very similar, pretty much the same teams. The reason I bring it up, though, is because the way that Toronto beats you is by getting out in the fast break and transition. They have an awful half-court offense, one of the worst. It's been one of the worst. Sorry, Raptors fans. But you guys need to play in transition. You need to get out and play sort of dirty and fast in order to win games. And that's the one place where you can take advantage of the New York Knicks because you ain't taking advantage of them down low. You're not going to out-rebound them. You're not going to get easy buckets around the rim, even if you do have a solid offense that helps you get, things moving towards the basket. You're about to meet Mitchell Robinson and a bit of Isaiah Hartenstein and even Jay Randle, who's been a bit better on defense when he actually tries. Either way, though, like the things that Toronto needs to do well to win are exactly what you need to do to beat New York. That's why I like the way that they played them. The really maybe probably the most important aspect of this bet is the Knicks are on a back-to-back, and also they're playing 3 in 4 nights. And not only are they playing 3 and 4 nights, but there's starting to be a little bit of a correlation, and I'm going to keep looking into it and tracking it with this in-season tournament, who's playing in it, and then what happens after you go all out playing in that tournament. So the Knicks on Tuesday had to beat Charlotte by as much as they could. Hopefully you were watching. We got a really nice 9-1 bet by parlaying them at a minus 19.5 line against Charlotte because we knew they needed to win by as many points as possible. Well, they played a lot of guys, a lot of minutes. Jalen Brunson had to score 42 last night in a lot of minutes against Detroit, which I think they would have blown the doors off Detroit at home if they hadn't just been coming off that emotional win that they needed by a lot of points against Charlotte, like I said. So we're going to ride with them to continue to be bad when they have no rest. The Knicks right now 0-3 on the season when they're on no rest. Very bad on back-to-backs, got smoked by a couple teams, including the Celtics, and teams that are good in transition as well, like the Raptors. So the Raptors playing much better at home. We're going to ride with them to handle my Knickerbockers tonight. Sorry, Knicks. Love you guys. Jay Tatum, love his player prop here, over 13.5. Oh, no, that should say rebounds and assists. If you are watching this, hopefully you're reading the subtitles. That should say rebounds and assists. Over 13.5 of those. I mean, if you can get over 13.5 points and rebounds for good money, God bless, but that's a made-up line. The stat here for the rebounds and assists specifically, banking on Jay Tate to do a little bit more of the dirty work tonight against Philly. Even if Embiid does play, or doesn't play, rather, I still don't love his assists in what's been a pretty good scheme for the 76ers with their personnel against Jay Tatum in terms of his scoring, which has been limited against this team dating back to the last roughly 6 regular season games against them. He has, however, gone over this rebounds and assist number versus them in 11 of his last 13, including the playoff series that they had. He's gone over 8 of his last 10 this season, so feeling really good about the way that he's playing in terms of these ancillary stats. And there's also the fact that KP, Kristaps Porzingis, has been in and out of the lineup for roughly the last 10 games, really the last like 7 or 8. But with him out of the lineup, a few things change. Al Horford comes in. What that means, though, is there's not necessarily more rebounds available. In fact, he has pretty much the exact same rebounding numbers with and without Kristaps this year, because Kristaps' replacement in the starting lineup at center when Papa Al doesn't start is Papa Al. And so with him in there, he's just as good of a rebounder, if not better, at least on the defensive end. On offense, he's actually not going to crash the rim, and Jay Tatum is. That's because Al Horford's job when he's on offense against the 76ers is to drag Joel Embiid away from the basket and stand much more closely to the three-point line to keep that space going. Like I said, keep Joel, who's one of the best defenders around within 5 feet of the rim, keep him away from there. So with Al Horford not getting those offensive rebounds, there's some more available for Jay Tate. The assists do go up as well, interestingly, without Kristaps, partly because he's just better at playing alongside Al Horford, who he's played against for years, and also because with that pick and roll specifically, and also because Sam Hauser gets a bit more time, so he's diming up to the three-point shooter on the pick and pop instead of the pick and roll. The 76ers here should be a little bit more vulnerable to his position. Call it power forward, call it small forward. Without Kristaps in there, it's definitely a little bit more power forward-y. But either way, it's a front court player who's versatile and can score from pretty much anywhere on the floor. So he is definitely going to be a matchup problem in this one. As far as cleaning up rebounds and assists, we're going to go with over 13.5 for Jay Tate on that one. Then we've got bet number 3. Where'd you go, bet number 3? Bet number 3, Jakob Poeltl. Jakob Poeltl to go under 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's also playing in this game with the Raptors game there that we were talking about a minute ago. And so what we like about this bet is obviously that the Knicks limit centers to the third fewest points per game, fewest rebounds per game, third fewest assists per game. Simply put, you're going to continue to hear me just love on Mitchell Robinson and give him his flowers. Incidentally, great dude. Read some of the humane stories about him recently. He's an awesome human. But just as important for our bets, he's the best rebounder in the league right now, according to a lot of metrics. He's going to be limiting Poeltl, who does not have a lot of success against New York, as is the case for most centers, because he needs second chance points. He is not a focal point of the offense at all, is Jakob Poeltl. It's much more important for if he's going to score, he's really going to need to do that by grabbing a lot of offensive rebounds and getting those second chance points. Just not the case for Poeltl in this matchup, where the Knicks are limiting teams to the fewest defensive rebounds per game, the fewest second chance points per game as well. And I just think Mitch Rob is going to eat him up, because the only place Jakob Poeltl really scores from anymore, especially with a 42% free throw rate, by the way, the only way that he scores is within 5 feet. Guess who's a top 3 defender for centers against guarding guys within 5 feet of the basket, keeping them to the third lowest field goal percentage? Mitchell Robinson. So the last thing here, I talked about the fast breaks that are going to happen with Toronto in that game when I was taking the -1.5. And that's not helpful for a guy like Jakob Poeltl, who's not running up and down the floor to be a part of those fast breaks. So the 10, 11 points that he's got his core line at for just the points, that's part of the reason I don't like him to get this. There's always the opportunity for him to just get some random, garbage putback. If guys get beat off the dribble for the Knicks, then Mitch Rob has to come up and try to block them. Then he's unable to be available for those rebounds, obviously. But either way, Mitch Rob's rebound percentage on his rebound chances, of which he has plenty more than Poeltl per game, it's much higher than Poeltl's rebound rate as well, and the percentage of times that he's rebounding the ball when he has the opportunity. So with the way that Mitch Rob gets more and is more efficient, I think he's just going to eat up Poeltl in this one, keep him from getting the points and the rebounds. We tack the assists on there because he ain't getting any of those. They're not playing through him at all. So let's go to, I keep going out of order. Let's go to the fourth bet. I got 5 of them here for you. Should have made that clear. Desmond Bane, over 22.5 points. We're also going to ladder it with 25 plus. It's just a good matchup for him against Dallas. He already dropped 30 on them this year. We know he's the focal point of the offense. I do like things with D Rose in there a bit more for Bane than I do when Marcus Smart is the starting point guard, and Rose is going to be back out there with Smart missing another one as the guy running the offense for the most part here with I guess some Jacob Gilyard. But we're going to see plenty of Desmond Bane out there for at least 35 minutes or so. He dropped, like I said, dropped 30 on Dallas earlier this season. He's dropped 23 at least, which is his core line, and I do want to ladder that up a little bit to 25 plus. The 30 plus isn't even that much better for the juice. So I think because you can get plus money for 25 plus points for Bane in this one, you roll with it. Luka's out. Don't really think that affects things too much. Kyrie's points prop shot up to 32.5. If you feel so bold, I'm staying away from that. Even though Memphis sucks, Dallas is going to be awful on defense without, in general. Sorry, they've already made clear, literally publicly, that they plan on scoring 122 points a game as best they can. to make sure that they can outscore you, which is why I call them Alice down here at home, because they ain't got no D. And that's why I'm going to roll with Bane on this little ladder here, where on the road, especially, I should make clear, like, he just goes off. He sort of tries to take over, jumps up to a 31% usage rate when he's playing on the road. This one is in Dallas, and 25 points per game as well, which gets us to the second part of our ladder. So I'm loving the Bane bet here. Nate brought that one up on the Coast to Coast show, and I fully agree. Let's roll over to my last bet here. Best bet number 5, Julius Randle. And for those of you who are paying close attention, you've seen now 3 bets where they don't really make sense with each other. We've got Poeltl under. That correlates with the Randle over a bit. But we've also got Toronto to win this game by 2 points. And I do still believe in that. And I think everything here is still pretty well correlated. Julius goes over, the Raptors win, and Poeltl goes under. And that happened 3 or 4 times, actually all 4 times last year that Julius went over. 3 or 4 times they lost, Julius went over, Poeltl went under. So we feel good about it. Julius went over in all 4, like I just said. He averaged 40 points and rebounds, 26.5 points, 14.5 rebounds. That's 41. Wow, I can't do math. 41 points and rebounds per game last year, helping my argument out. God damn, Lander, pull it together. 29% usage rate in those games. That's another big part of this. I know that the Raptors are good against the front court. They're good against power forwards. That's all they are, is a team full of power forwards. So I would hope that they can guard the position. However, this is just a unique scenario for where Julius really loves playing long, rangy, athletic power forwards that think that they can bang with him down low, but they can't. He's much stronger than most people that he goes up against, unless he's going up against big centers or like way overpowering power forwards. And there ain't none of those on Toronto. You're going to see some Precious Achiuwa, who weighs about as much as I do, despite having a full 1.5 feet on me. And then you're going to see some Chris Boucher, who I definitely weigh more, despite the fact that he has almost 2 feet on me in height. So Julius Randle's just going to continue to eat against those, dude. Pascal doesn't even really play against him. I wrote here, Randle's matchup want to fast break. What I mean by that is guys like Pascal and Scotty Barnes, they would be maybe the best matchups. Pascal would for sure be the best matchup against him, just still isn't going to be able to do that because at times he's actually guarding Mitchell Robinson when Jakob Poeltl's on the floor. And the other times, to get to this fast break point, he's leading the fast break. And Scotty Barnes is even more guilty of that. He's the number 1 grab it and go guy for this team by design. I say guilty in a good way. That's what he's supposed to do. But that also means that Julius Randle's down there boxing out air and getting a lot of offensive boards, getting all the defensive boards as well, especially with Mitch Rob busy with the one true center. And then when Pascal's out there, that's the only other guy you have to worry about crashing the offensive boards effectively, aside from OG. But the point is both those dudes need to be in there to grab defensive boards, which they both do, which is why the Knicks have the number 1 defensive rebound percentage in the NBA. With the amount of rebound chances that Randle gets against Toronto, because he's just sitting down there having a picnic in the paint, he ends up with 22 rebound chances per game against this team. Come on, man. 22 rebound chances per game, 65% rebound rate. You do the math. That gets us well over the 12 or 13 that he would need to get over his prop in this game. And it also helps us with the points because I think the volume will be there on offense for second chance points and the like. All right, getting out of here with a summary of the bets. The Raptors to win by 1.5. Jayson Tatum to get 13.5 rebounds and assists. You can see I wrote it correctly there on the best bet summary. So roll with that, not points and rebounds like the idiot I was on the other graphic. Jakob Poeltl under 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists in a bad matchup against the Knickerbockers. Desmond Bane, little baby ladder. If you want to get it to 30, it's just not juicy. I don't even think you can get 2-1 for Desmond Bane 30 points. If you find that, maybe that's a good bet to you. But like plus 115 for the 25 plus on the ladder, I'm good with that. And my boy Orange Julius Randle over 30.5 points and rebounds against these Raptors. And that is all the time that I have for you guys in this one. Appreciate you all. Plenty of new followers and subscribers. I would just ask that everybody else keep coming in, subscribe to the page, watch these videos. I'm bringing you these picks each and every day. Going to come back on Saturday. Should give you the heads up. Saturday got 12 games. On Sunday, no games. Monday, in-season tournament. Tuesday, in-season tournament. So we got a wonky schedule coming up. And make sure you're tailing along. I'll be back for 12 games tomorrow. Try to get it out to you tonight, but more likely tomorrow because we've got so much action. I want to make sure I know who's in and out of those lineups. Follow on Twitter at JLBoogie. It's not just because I want followers. It's because I'm putting picks out there later in the day than when I can get these videos to you. Today, I'm getting it out hella late, as we say here on the West Coast. But that doesn't matter because these picks will still be very ripe and available for you. But like I said, the Twitter is where also the Twitters, to sound old as fuck, is where you can go ahead and get the updated picks and stuff that might be coming out with new news and things of that nature. So Appreciate all of you. Love you guys for real. And until I see you next, happy betting.